Hello everyone, I'm Nidoking and welcome back to Folklore. Last time, Ellen managed to make her way into the fairy realm, the same way that Keats did earlier, by finding a memento of the dead and offering it at the henge. Now Scarecrow has told us we need to go fight the Folklore at the far end of the realm. That means a whole lot of fighting, and a whole lot of stuff we've probably heard before. But I can't remember because it's been that long since I did Ellen's prologue. Still, we hear a lot more mentions of the Fairy Lord this time around. Yeah, the tutorial messages are mostly the same thing that we heard in the prologue, only because it's not Semaine anymore, he doesn't say that there is no portal, because now there is one. Not that it matters, but I'm glad they put in that much attention to detail. And that's something that's kind of a running theme for the fairy realm. Fairies wondering why humans don't come to the land of the dead anymore. But we've got more important things to worry about now, like fighting. Unfortunately, for the moment, it's pretty much the same as all the other fighting we've seen. Ellen's only got 3 folks, and only one of them is any good for combat. We'll change that eventually, of course. And there's a lot of crystals in this room, but no folks. Oh, there we go. I knew they'd be coming eventually. Especially since I found a Hanky here during the prologue. It'd be nice to be able to take out more than one of them at a time, but they were staying far away from each other. And this one's attempting to run away. That won't work, you silly folk. Alright, now that all the enemies have been taken care of, I want to take a look at my picture book. That's obviously Hanky attacking some kind of little flying imps with pots. Okay, I think I'll be able to figure that out. And these blue crystals near the ground are a little hard to hit, but you can actually move your aim while you're charging up Hanky, which ultimately gives you nothing. And I don't have an attack that'll break a green crystal yet. This blue one's way up there, but that's okay. Hanky's attack goes upward. And we get our second picture book page, which is that little imp with a pot pouring sticky goo all over a kind of dog rabbity thing. It all makes sense when you know what's going on. And the final crystal is an ambush! But now we've got a big clump of Hankies, so just go ahead and take them all out at once. That's the way I prefer to do it. Of course, I didn't even look to see what it'll take to build up Hanky. 10 ids or defeating 3 impets. Impet, I think we'll be meeting pretty soon. But since I only need to absorb 1 more Hanky, let's just go take care of that right now. Huh, empty room. I wonder if I'll meet a Hanky here. And then, of course, it takes me forever to adjust my aim because there's a crystal in the way. Extra attack power is always good when it's the only folk you've got of a particular element. And Hanky is not very difficult to fight either. I mean, look at its attack. It takes that long to charge up. you're just never going to get hit. And after that, we need 5 cold tree nuts. I know you can get those by defeating Trents, but I don't believe that Ellen is ever going to meet a Trent. So we just gotta beat up a bunch more guys and try to get some pulse tree nuts anyway, because I know I need a lot of those. And of course the experience doesn't hurt either. For some reason, I find it a little bit easier to target folks for absorption as Ellen, rather than as Keats. That's probably just me watching the video. And I noticed that I missed a pulse tree nut back there, which is kind of embarrassing. Hey, why don't I go to great effort to try to draw out 3 red ids at once, and only capture 1? I think by the end of this chapter, I've gotten a lot better at fighting than I used to be. At least I stopped getting as confused about which button pulls out my shield. But for now, it's still kind of embarrassing just even fighting these easy enemies. At least I'm getting the hang of capturing multiple ones at a time. And I still don't know that that's giving me a lot of experience, but at least it's more than I would have gotten otherwise. Probably just like 1 experience each, and then I get 2 for capturing both of them. I should actually check. I know there's numbers associated with it. And same tutorials we've got before. But I don't remember those fairies over there in the prologue. Where have all the humans gone? I'm pretty sure that's confirmation we do get to visit the audience hall as Ellen. And yeah, we're going to be hearing that a bunch more times as we go along. But here we go. For Ellen, this is all unexplored territory from this point out. And just up ahead, we see our first brand new folk. This is Impet, and like the picture book shows, we just need to hit it with some water. And we've got our first status effect. Check it out. You pour sticky goo all over something and hit it with the bond status, which prevents it from moving. Of course, it's all most of the statuses do. If you get hit with bond, you've just got to waggle the control stick, I think, to break free of it. And my Hanky managed to push me out of the way of that attack. Gotta see what Impet needs to build up. Aqua Liquid, which I don't have. So capturing them isn't really doing me a whole lot of good. Guess I might as well just kill a couple of them with Hanky and try to level it up. If I ever catch them. Fortunately, they are incredibly weak to water. And unlikely to be damaged at all by anything else. But it's the one advantage that Hanky has, is the fact that its attack goes upward, so you can hit flying folks. And believe me, we're going to need to do a lot of that. Speaking of which, why not just head back and take out a couple more Impets right now? Again, just trying to be a bit more efficient about building up folks, except that's not an Impet. That is a bugaboo, and it's asleep, so I don't want to wake it up. Not that I know whether I can. Yeah, Bugaboo is basically a miniature Barghest, and my normal attacks don't bring out its blue id, nor does water, nor does bond. It's actually immune to that, so I have nothing I can use to capture it, and killing it right now does me no good, so why even bother? Let's try again. There's two different patterns of folks that can appear in most of the rooms, and it's another Bugaboo. Ah well, I'll catch more impets later, I'm sure. For now, let's see what the fairies in the Road of Daru flower area have to say. Yeah, you might be able to tell the fairies kind of like Ellen, although they were really rude to Keats earlier. And the tutorials are mostly new information. The first one is actually the mechanic that Ellen gets as a counterpart to Keats' Transcension. The abilities are mostly not nearly as impressive as they sound, but yeah, we get to play dress-up. And that's the closest we're going to get for a hint to fighting the Miniboss. Yeah, he says the same thing about Mystery Stones, just with different elements, because Ellen and Keats don't share the same attack elements. And it's a tutorial about the thing we learned with Andrast and Keats' chapter. You have to capture the Miniboss before you can move through its room. We kinda knew that. That's a good idea. Better than what I was going to do. Ask the Fairy Lord for advice. Let's just move on and fight the Miniboss, shall we? When I was Keats, we fought Andrast in this room. Here, we fight Boobry. And this guy's not really all that tough if you're fast on your shield button. But it attacks very quickly. And I'm attempting to use Impet here. And with that hit I can see that it's immune, but I didn't notice that when I was recording. This fight kind of becomes an exercise in keeping my MC up enough that I can use a shield. I don't know how he hit me through that one. Impet's just going to hover up there until something gets under it and then spray sticky goo all over it, which doesn't do anything to most enemies. Kind of a shame. It's an interesting attack, just so rarely useful. And now Boobry's final attack, which always seems to hit me for some reason. I mean, it's easy to stay out of the way of its flight, but then you just kind of walk into its spiky tail. But that's alright. It's finally done. Just the nearly interminable capture to go. And this isn't nearly as bad as some of the folks we'll be seeing later. But we have our first wind elemental attack, and this one is actually a good one. This is the kind of attack you can continue using till the end of the game. And since we've now got a wind elemental attack, rather than pressing forwards, I'm going to go back to almost the beginning of the chapter. See, there's something way back there that I could wait until I've gotten to the next portal and then warp back to collect, but it's actually really, really useful, even in the very short term. And now there's no bugaboo here, so I can continue building up Hanky. The water bubble's not actually as bad to target as it looks like. Once it gets up to its height, it'll float around for a little bit. A little longer if you charged it up more. But you gotta be at really close range to hit something that's on the ground. And one more Hanky, or one more Impet hanging out in the corner there. Do need to get a bit closer. And this one I'm just gonna capture. At least get some experience out of it. And we'll move on to the fighting area. Just skip through the parts where there's nothing to fight. No purpose showing any of those. Meanwhile, I did bother to take a look at Boobry's karma, and one of them is unlocked when I defeat 10 folks with it. Which could take a while, but it is at least a very strong attack. It's just really bad if a folk gets very close to you. On the other hand, it's great for crowd control at a distance. It's got a really wide sweep, and it just gets wider as it goes out. So as long as the folks are not so close to you that the attack just plain doesn't hit them, you can really tear stuff up. And of course, it knocks everything down. But I'm getting kind of tired of throwing it at stuff, so whenever there's multiple ids, I might as well just go ahead and capture them anyway. Plus, it does take a fair amount of MC, and takes a little while to disappear until I can use it again. Still not very difficult to build up if it's the only folk that's around. And again, it's really useful to build up multiple karmas for the only folk you have of a particular element. Although I don't think there are any folks in this chapter that are particularly weak to wind. Capture that guy, and then might as well Boobry the other one to death. That's the only real problem with Boobry, is it's kind of difficult to say. When did those guys show up? Don't like getting ambushed from behind. But if I get the right angle, I can at least hit both of them with each attack. It'll make this go a bit faster. And the nice thing about Ellen is you don't have to wait for her MC to recharge. I mean, it does recharge slowly, but if you use another attack, it doesn't interfere with your recovery of MC. Whereas with Keats, you gotta sit still and not use any folks for about 3 seconds for it to recharge. I'll just hit the green crystal quickly here, and grab the fairy cloak. This is going to be my first alternate cloak, and frankly, once you've got this, there is no reason ever to wear the Cloak of She again. Because it's got no special abilities whatsoever. Of course, I will have to wear it at least one more time, and you'll see why. I'll probably save that for the grinding video. Once again, trying to get an angle on both of them, and misjudge the distance. But it's a nice, powerful attack, so it's not like it's going to set me too far back if I let one of them get unstunned. And this ought to do it. Extra attack power. Never a bad thing for the folk that you're using for strong attacks. And now I need to defeat 5 Mandragora, which I don't think I'll be encountering until Chapter 5. So the rest of them are just more experience for me. And now let's head back to the entrance, because we can only swap cloaks at portals. Don't want to talk to anybody right now. Except maybe Scarecrow's got something else to say, but probably just, "Go across the fairy realm, Ellen! Talk to the fairy lord!" So we'll switch to the fairy cloak. And as you can see, this one resists bond and sleep. In fact, it makes me completely immune to those two conditions. And it's got the silliest looking wings. Okay, I can think of one reason you might want to wear the Cloak of She again once you've got the fairy cloak. But still, it's incredibly useful. And we've got one more element to try against Bugaboo. Doesn't seem to be having any effect on him, though. So wind is also not the element I need. Moving on. And I get to fight Boobry again on the way through, and since I need to capture 3 of them, I might as well take one of them down now. It's really not all that difficult, even though I've only got one attack that's at all effective on it. And I think I'll just save the other 2 for the grinding video. I really can't judge distance. And you might also notice there are considerably fewer mystery stones around here for Ellen than there were for Keats. But forget about that, another new folk appears. And this one is tough to capture. This is Ketchy, which is a name you're probably all familiar with from Final Fantasy VII. It sprays sleep powder around, so if you're not wearing the fairy cloak, you're going to fall asleep. And as soon as it's done that, it runs away. So you have to hit it with Impet in order to keep it where it is long enough to capture it. And then I need a green liquid, which I don't have, so not much point capturing any more of those guys. But you do need one. Very, very important to have a Ketchy for this chapter. So we'll deal with whatever ambushes may come our way. A couple of simple folks, same ones we've been fighting the whole time. Lots of Kilmulas too, which is nice, because I still haven't unlocked its second karma. And the shield is getting expensive to use. I can't possibly need many more of them. Ah, just one more. I think I'll be able to manage that. One more ambush. And this is the corridor that was blocked when I came through with Keats, because I didn't have an element that could break through blue mystery stones. Now I do, but there are no blue mystery stones to be found anyway. And here is Kilmulas number 10. Now I just need 5 pulse tree nuts for the last karma. And meanwhile, I'll just kind of wake up Bugaboo. Let's see if I can put him back to sleep. And that's not how I equip a folk. There's the Bluid. The only way to capture a Bugaboo is with a sleep attack. I don't really use the status effect folks all that often, unless it's the only way to capture something. I've just never really felt like devoting a slot on my attack wheel to, say, sleep or bond is usually a good idea. But they actually have their uses. Here's one of them. After all this time, we finally have a Bugaboo. And there's a green stone. We can shatter that one. And a timely picture book page to tell us that you need to put Bugaboo to sleep with Ketchy to capture one. I knew that. Well, let's just see what I need to do to build up Bugaboo. 5 pulse tree nuts, defeat 10 folks. I think I'll be saving my pulse tree nuts for other folks, but let's see how effective it is for defeating stuff. Kind of a short-range mine. Then you can charge it up to make its spines a tiny bit longer. Yeah, I suppose it could be good for crowd control. Yeah, I guess I'll get a chance to try it out. Yeah, it gets attacked right away. Problem is, it's of very little use when the folks get close, just like Boobry. So I gotta use short-range attacks to keep them at bay, and once they get to a distance, then I can stick Bugaboo out there and attempt to actually hit something with it. It's not of much use against anything that moves, or anything that blocks, or anything that attacks. Frankly, I can only think of one use for Bugaboo in the entire game. And this is not it. But I need to start doing something with it. Because it's weak. Alright, no more building up Bugaboos for me. I think I'll save that for the grinding video, too. Hey, it's more Ketchy! See if I can capture them. Doesn't look like I'm gonna do it. Off they go. Yeah, it was one of the last folks I figured out how to capture my first time through the game. Because I didn't find the fairy cloak until near the end of the chapter. One more screen left before the save point with a whole bunch of puka in it. I guess I can stick Bugaboo out there a couple more times and at least do some damage. Maybe be interesting. See that? She can, like, capture this thing from her periphery. And I'm just gonna take the experience and go. That was a heck of a lot easier than it was with Keats. Oh, hey, look, these guys are spilling sticky goo everywhere. Come on. Dump your sticky goo on me already! Can't believe I just said that. There we go, that one's attacking. Yep, as you can see, it has no effect on me while I wear the fairy cloak. And that's pretty much all I wanted to show you there. Also, I guess if I don't defeat these guys, then there won't be any more magic stones, so... let's just bring them down, and bring them in. Yeah, Hanky's last karma involves capturing or defeating 3 brownies, which I completely forget by the time I actually see brownies. And our reward is nothing at all. Ellen's route is disappointingly devoid of mystery stones most of the time. Just all collected in one room. And that's sad. Yep, same thing we heard about quests before, and once again there is one quest available to us at this point. And we'll save the second half of the Fairy Realm for next time. See you guys then.